Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Those sound like small talk, but on the side of the road, they're not trying to be your therapist. They're trying to be your narrator. Because here's how it usually goes. You get stopped for something minor. Maybe you think you're leaving with a warning, and then suddenly you're outside the car doing the toe touch Olympics, starring in a roadside episode of So You Think You Can Balance. So how do these innocent questions turn into a DUI investigation, a search, or a fishing expedition for something totally unrelated to the traffic stop? Simple. Those questions are designed to make you talk, and talking creates evidence. Not always because you confess to something crazy. It's usually subtler than that. They're listening for three things. First, content, your actual answer. Coming from a bar, had dinner, just left a friend's house. Even if you did nothing wrong, you just gave them a new direction to dig. Second, consistency. If your story doesn't match what they see, what time it is, where you are, or what you say next, it becomes suspicious. And once suspicious gets written in a report, good luck unringing that bell. Third, performance. While you're digging for your license and trying not to spill your coffee, they hit you with questions to see if you're flustered, confused, slow to respond, or slurring. It's basically a multitasking test disguised as a conversation. And here's the part people underestimate. You don't even have to be drunk for this to go sideways. Nervousness, medications, fatigue, a speech issue, anxiety, even just being startled can get interpreted in the worst possible way. Officers write reports, reports become evidence, and your lawyer can't cross-examine vibes. Now, the internet gives three kinds of terrible advice in these situations. Bad advice number 1, just be honest and friendly. Look, be polite, always, but friendly and chatty is not the same thing as safe. If you answer 10 questions, you've given 10 chances for a misunderstanding, an inconsistency, or an accidental admission. Bad advice number 2, be a wise guy. This is how you turn a 2-minute stop into a 30-minute stop. Being rude isn't a constitutional right. It's just a great way to motivate someone to write the longest report of their career. Bad advice number 3, just lie. Don't. Aside from being risky and sometimes illegal, especially if you lie about identity, lying gives the officer a reason to dig in harder. And if they think you're deceptive, the stop doesn't get shorter. It gets upgraded. So what's the best strategy? It's this. Separate what you must do from what you do not have to do. In most places during a traffic stop, you do have to provide your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance when requested. Do that calmly. No speeches, no commentary, just compliance with the basics. But investigative questions. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Have you had anything to drink? Do you know why I stopped you? Those are optional, and answering them can only help the investigation, not you. So here's the script. This is the clean, respectful, rights-safe version. Step 1, provide your documents. Step 2, when the questions start, say, "Officer, I'm not going to answer any questions. Am I being detained or am I free to go?" That's polite, clear, and it forces the stop back onto its legal track. If they keep pushing, you don't debate. You don't explain. You don't negotiate. You just repeat a clear invocation. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. And if they ask to search, I do not consent to any searches. That's it. Calm voice, normal volume, no attitude. You're not winning, you're documenting your position. And one more key point, don't rely on silence alone. In some situations, courts have allowed prosecutors to argue that silence looks suspicious if you didn't clearly invoke your rights. So, say it out loud. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. Now, what if they order you out of the car? In many situations, they can. So don't turn that into a wrestling match over principles. Step out. Keep your hands visible. Keep your tone calm. Then go right back to the script. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I do not consent to searches. What about field sobriety tests? The walk and turn, the one-leg stand, the touch your nose circus. In many states, those roadside tests are voluntary, but refusing can still lead to consequences, like the officer deciding they now have enough to arrest you anyway, or the refusal being used against you later. The best move is to know your state ahead of time. If you don't know, the safest on-camera response is, "Am I required to do this?" And then make your choice, understanding there may be trade-offs. And lastly, chemical tests, breath or blood, are a whole different category. Many states have implied consent rules, and refusing can trigger license suspensions and other penalties. Again, state-specific. Know the rule where you live. But zoom out and remember the most important tip of all. If you've been drinking, the best legal strategy is called a ride home. This video is about protecting your rights, not giving anyone a loophole to drive impaired. So here's the recap you should memorize. Give the required documents. Don't answer investigative questions. Ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? If pressured, I'm exercising my right to remain silent. And I do not consent to any searches. Comply with lawful orders physically and argue later, never roadside. Now I'm curious, if an officer asks, "Where are you coming from tonight?" what would you say? And do you want to follow up on the most common trick question, "Mind if I take a quick look in your car?" Laws vary by state. Educational, not legal advice.